Welcome to Leaders Lead Podcast. Are you ready to conquer your challenges and achieve greatness? Join us as we dive into inspirational stories of industry leaders who have overcome adversity and reached new heights. Get ready for electrifying insights and captivating conversations that will ignite your passions for success. This is your go-to show for empowerment, growth, and leadership. Buckle up. Leaders Lead Podcast is here to take you on a transformational ride.
We'll jump back into your episode in a minute, but first let me ask you something. Are you great at what you do, but it still feels like no one really sees you as the go-to expert in your space? You're showing up, maybe putting out content, speaking on a few podcasts, but the visibility, the growth, the income, it still feels out of reach. That's exactly why I created the Experts Blueprint. It's a step-by-step system that I use to help coaches, consultants, and purpose-driven experts finally get visible, grow your loyal audience, and turn their message into income. Inside, I'll show you how to craft your story so people actually remember it, build a platform that works for you 24/7, and create content that builds trust and moves people into action. If you're ready to stop being overlooked and start getting the recognition, the results that you deserve, join the waitlist by emailing me at info@tonytaylorinspires.com. Let's build something real. Let's get you seen. Welcome back to your episode.
Hey, welcome to Leaders Lead the Podcast. My guest today, oh my God, I'm super excited. I have Mr. Dennis Yu. He is a digital marketing legend. He's worked with Nike, Red Bull, the Warriors, but that's just the surface. He is the creator of the $1 a day strategy, which that's a strategy that we're using with Leaders Lead on Facebook right now. It's doing phenomenal. He's also the CEO of Blitz Metrics. But what really sets Dennis apart for me is his mission of creating 1 million jobs by training young marketers. I'm actually in one of his Facebook groups, and I see the way that he communicates with these marketers. And let me tell you, man, it really does bring joy to my heart. He is a leader that leads. Today, we're going to go beyond the tactics. We're going to talk a little bit about tactics, but I want to dive into his journey, his mindset, and the heart behind it all. I would love for the folks that are listening, grab a pen, get someplace that's comfortable, because this is going to be amazing. Welcome to the show, Dennis.
An honor, Tony.
I'm super glad that you said yes, man. I've been looking at your content for probably, I would say probably about 2 years. And I joined your group with marketers, and I just been amazed at the way that you're leading those folks with kindness, with empathy. Was that a choice that you made early on? And the reason that I asked you that is because, hey, I don't see people like yourself leading that way, like the one-on-one, the kindness, the empathy.
I was really lucky, Tony. 20 years ago, actually 27 years ago, I had the CEO of Allstate Insurance at a lunch, and he and the CEO of American Airlines, who was my mentor, organized this little lunch. Said, "Hey, do you want to have lunch with Dick Hayen, who runs Allstate Insurance?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" And at that lunch, I was just some young precocious kid, and I said, "So, Dick, how did you become the leader of this insurance company that has hundreds of thousands of employees, one of the largest insurance companies? Because don't you have to be smarter and work harder and get ahead of the other guy and that kind of thing?" And he said, that's what you would hear in middle management. That's what you're going to hear about applying to the next job or whatever it might be. But if you truly want to be a leader, if you want to build a large organization, people have to, the people who are really good, the people that you want are already in some other job. They're already doing something else. So you have to attract them to want to work with you if you want the very best people. And so if you develop a reputation of taking care of people, that is how you eventually get ahead. And he said, in Hollywood, you hear this stuff about nice guys finish last, or it's, who the golden rule, whoever has the gold makes the rules, or do unto others before they do unto you. Like all these things, stab the other guy before, like all these things, like try to get ahead. That's like those people that go back and forth in traffic, in traffic where it's like stopped and then someone's like constantly changing lanes. And so he explained to me, he said, if you're an entrepreneur and you're just getting going and it's just you and you need other people to join your team, good people, you want the best quality people, not just people who are unemployed and are desperate for a job. Do you think the nice guy is going to be able to attract those good people or someone who's a jerk?
Probably the nice guy.
And that's the lesson that they taught me. And I've learned that time and time again from the people who are actually the leaders. Now, if you're a middle manager or you're a director or you're like a supervisor and it's not your company, but you're a boss, then you might get this other kind of bureaucratic, parasitic behavior. But if you're actually the owner, founder, entrepreneur, you're a leader, and you talk to other people who mentor you and are in leadership positions, like I've been very lucky to meet some of these people, you hear the same thing every time, Tony. It's about, and it sounds like a cliche, like treat other people well, but your reputation carries everything.
No, it's definitely real, and I definitely feel it. In your group, like I said, I see you treating everybody with kindness and respect. And what I've noticed, what happens when you do that, other people, they want to help you. They want to protect you. Because it included myself. I was scrolling one day and I saw some dude. I don't know if you remember this, but I saw some dude, idiot, freaking. Oh, I'd like to challenge Dennis.
Oh yeah, that guy.
It was like he didn't say this word, but like it was almost like to a duel, like to see who's bigger and who's badder. And I immediately was like, dude, you're kind of a for doing this. But that was only because, and me and you, you had sent me some information, I think probably a couple years ago, about speaking. And I'm like, no, dude, like, why would you do this to such a kind person? Do you ever see, or are you ever witness to that, to where people will take your kindness for a weakness?
All the time. I mean, that's what happens. The more content you put out, the more people you come into contact with. It's just a law of large numbers. And I saw a podcast with Mr. Beast and people were saying, what about these haters that are talking about you, doing this and doing that? And he said, well, when you have 100 million people watching every video, even if 0.01% of those people, say something bad, even if 99.99% of people love what you're saying, that point, whatever fraction, they're always going to appear louder. And in the case you talked about, Tony, I remember this was a guy who charged a friend of mine $20,000 to build a website.
Okay, a website. Okay,
as a plumber, and nothing happened because we used our SEO tools, and you could use any SEO. It's not like we have tools that are biased or whatever, but use any tools you want to measure how much traffic is coming to the website. And this guy didn't rank on anything. So we took over that site and we fixed a lot of things that were broken. And the reason why he got so pissed was I had made a post saying, this kind of site can be built on Upwork for, say, $700. That's if you use these requirements and hire the right person. And I went ahead and hired some random person for $700 on Upwork. And I live streamed the whole thing, hired them, had them do the work, and they did a way better job. I mean, it's pretty easy to do a better job because the work that this guy did for $20,000 was nothing. Like he just put up a simple WordPress template, didn't have any real content, didn't build any links, anyone can install a WordPress template.
Right.
So that's what I basically said. Like, okay, for 20 grand, you better do something extra,
Right.
Like run ads or, fly out to meet them, or like you need to do some other stuff, right? Beyond just like saying it's $20,000 for a website. So I never mentioned his name, but he got all offended. And that's when he attacked me in my group of 45,000 people, right? Like, why would you come attack someone on their own channel? Right? In front of their own community.
Right.
The community that and then this guy comes in like, who the heck are you guys? And so what happens, and this is true for everyone who's listening, when you have these haters, seethers like this, it says more about them than it does about you. So anytime you see criticism, I'm not saying ignore all criticism. I'm saying when you see criticism, first say, is the person who's criticizing you credible?
That's
Do they
good.
have an agenda? Is it saying more about them? Or maybe there's a blind spot that you and I have where someone is saying something and, this is something we don't realize that we need to improve upon. Maybe because, we have some kind of hidden pain or some sort of like, people have blind spots.
Yeah.
Right. And it might be. And so sometimes you have to consider that. So if the person who's saying is credible, in this case, this guy was saying, I challenge you to an SEO bake-off. I'm better than, he's saying, I'm better than anyone. I'm way better than Dennis in SEO. And you saw in the comments, I didn't have to say anything. And the people in the comments were saying like, okay, if you're so good, then why don't you rank on your own name? If you're so good, where's some examples? If you're so good, why aren't you hanging out with all the other people who are the best at search engine optimization and AI and Facebook ads and all that? Like there's all the, how much money have you spent on ads and who do you know? And have you shared your knowledge? And what's the SEO of your own site? Like I look at your site, it doesn't rank on anything. Like how can you claim to be an SEO expert? Like it's the obese people giving, weight loss advice. Like I'm sure your advice is good, but you look at your body and
Are you following that?
Yeah. So it's the same thing. And this is true in digital marketing. There's all these people that talk. And so you want to see people who are actual practitioners. And so it just makes me sad when I see people like that they prey upon trustworthy business owners and they can sell a really good pitch because these other people, they have, these plumbers and HVAC guys and landscapers and dentists, they don't know anything about digital marketing and AI and all that kind of stuff. So they're like, okay, I guess so. Sure. Okay. It would be $20,000. Well, why is it $20,000? Well, you want to have it done right, don't you?
And that's the reasoning behind it.
Yeah. Here's my wire information. You can just go ahead and wire me 20 grand to, this place.
You just made me think of something else while you were talking. I love the way that you advocate for service providers after they've been ripped off. There was a video that you sent me, you posted, and you were talking about it was like some shady practices, and there was like this long video meeting, and I was watching. I actually took some notes. I love the way that you took these people down without trying to take them down. But do you know what video I'm talking about?
You give me a little more detail.
There was a client. I guess a client had got some work done, and then they reached out to got some work done from somebody else. They reached out to you to have you kind of like look over it. And you found a lot of inconsistencies as far as their SEO. They weren't ranking no place. They didn't even understand some of the stuff. But the lady was saying, one of the people were saying that you were being rude and you were being condescending, which the whole time you weren't. You were being very factual. And I think that pissed her off more. But I was just, the whole time I was watching that, dude, I was like cheering for you because I'm like, dude, about time. We have somebody like yourself that's been in this game, that's been doing it for decades now, that are actually using their powers for good instead of using them for evil.
I remember that case. That was a dentist.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my friend David Meerman Scott, who's probably one of the top 4 or 5 people in the world of marketing. And one of his friends is the dentist, Dr. Hugh Flax. And Dr. Hugh Flax paid $100,000 to this agency that claimed to do SEO and PPC and all that kind of stuff to make the phone ring for this cosmetic dentist in Atlanta. And there were no phone calls. After basically a year, no, $100,000 for a small business and the phone not ringing, except for actual referrals that came from his own business, from his own clients, not from what the agency did. Mm-hmm. And the dentist and the girl who answers because it's a small office, the girl who answers the phone at the front desk, Edie, said, look, I answer every single phone call. And every time the phone rings, I ask them, how'd you hear about us? Oh, well, this other patient said something. Or, I found you on your, Google reviews, or I found, and not one came from the efforts of this agency. And so you saw that call where there was the founder of the firm, I guess, and there was their head of sales, there was their head of PPC. Like, it was kind of, if you don't know anything about digital marketing, you'd be kind of intimidated because there's all these people that appear to be experts in these other areas. And so we just, as we do, it's actually been thousands of times now, we went in and we looked at their data. We looked at the Google Analytics. We looked at the SEO data. We looked at the call tracking. We looked at all this and said, well, it's just like looking at an X-ray or asking a fat person to step on the scale. There was nothing there. And so then they had to do this song and dance to try to pretend that everything was great. Oh, no, we've driven you hundreds of phone calls. And Dr. Hughes said, show me one.
They were squirming
And there wasn't
too.
any. Yeah. And then you saw them try to attack me. And so this is it's just like the previous case where these people want to, like, why would you attack the scale? If the scale says you're 400 pounds, why are you going to attack the scale? And you see this all the time in digital marketing.
Wow.
Yeah. But I want to turn the light on. I want everyone to see the analytics. I've advocated for, I don't care if you're an author or a speaker or a coach or a dentist or a plumber. It can look scary to look inside your Google Analytics or to look inside your Facebook ads account, or, you should be able to read that thing like you read your Bank of America bank account balance, right?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be afraid to see what's in there, right?
Yeah, but they make it seem like it's so complicated though. And that's
so
why
difficult.
you need
You
them,
don't want to try to
right?
touch it yourself. You might like electrocute yourself or something if you try to open that up.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and then remember, you saw that part in the video where we were auditing they wouldn't give us access to the Google Ads account, but we could tell forensically, just based on other evidence, that it wasn't working, right? And so they played the song and dance. It's proprietary. We can't give you access because it's our intellectual property on how we built the Google Ads. I'm sure you understand. Like, I'm pretty sure I understand. I mean, I was one of the first people to ever run Google Ads, right? Almost 30 years ago, and back when we were doing AOL ads and it was called something else and that whole thing. But I said, go ahead. Well, okay, fine. If you won't give us access, why don't you go ahead and log in? So at least we can see what keywords you bought, what the quality scores were, what your cost per click and conversion rates are, something about let's look at your negative keywords. Let's do some basic Google Ads auditing, right? So she fumbled to try to figure out how to log into the account. And I didn't know it then, but I suspected that she had never really been inside Google Ads before. Now, this girl on that agency team, her job was to be in charge of her whole thing was to be the Google Ads specialist. So I wasn't trying to put her on the spot or make her look bad. I just wanted to look inside the account, right? Now remember, this is not just some random person. Like, she came in confidently beforehand, claiming that she was a Google Ads expert, and
guns loaded.
She didn't want to talk over my head because, she had so much expertise. She didn't want to get technical. I'm like, let's go ahead and, I'll tell you if you're too technical or, say something that I don't understand about Google Ads. Like, just go ahead. Just go ahead and assume like we know what Google Ads is. Doesn't know, like, we have the best selling book on Google Ads, and we've sold 800,000 copies of our book on Google Ads, Facebook ads, and TikTok.
Right.
So she logs in, and immediately I saw that they were bidding. Now, this might be slightly technical, but they were bidding on basically just one keyword: dentist. The word dentist.
Damn, I would do that. I could do that.
And the click-through rate was low and the cost per click was high. And I said, so you're not organizing these things into campaigns and ad sets or ad groups, which is that's how you structure a Google Ads campaign. I bet you the quality score is terrible. That's what I'm thinking. So I said, okay, now let's go look at the quality scores. And I don't think she even knew what the quality score was. The quality score is the number one diagnostic indicator when you audit a Google Ads account. So she didn't know where to go. So she was clicking around in the campaigns. She was clicking in the ads. And I said, quality score is set at the keyword level. You've got to go to the keywords. Then you have to go to the columns, go down, click on where it says quality score, and then it'll display quality score unless you set a custom view that also has quality score in it already, right? And so she didn't know where to go. I was saying, no, over there, click over here. Now click over here, click over. And that's kind of embarrassing, right? Because she at first came in claiming she's the Google Ads expert. Oh, I don't want to say anything that's too difficult for the rest of you guys to understand. Oh, okay. Well, can you just log in? I mean, we don't really know. We don't know anything about Google Ads. We're not anything like as experts.
Shucks.
You are. Can you just log in so we could just take a look? Can you imagine? And then she got all flustered, right? And got all mad, right?
Yeah. I could tell on your face. I was just like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh shit, here it comes. Here it comes." But I thought that you did that with tact, and I was just really inspired how you were there for those people. You can tell that they clearly got taken advantage of for early entrepreneurs, even people that, they're like, "Hey, I need to, get some skin in the game with this, digital marketing with my website." What
Yep.
are some things that we can do so that we don't get taken advantage of? Because if I lost that kind of money, I'll tell you right now, I'll be back at work.
Well, a couple things. First is you should only talk to people who are practitioners.
Okay.
So the equivalent is if you were to buy a car, you could be in the showroom where there's the guy who's wearing the tie and he makes you a nice coffee and he asks you about your family and your weekend and talks really nice, but doesn't know anything about actually fixing a car. I want to talk to the mechanic. I want to talk to the guy in the back who's got his sleeves rolled up and he's got grease under his fingers and who actually is working on the cars. And I'm going to ask him, how often does the, Tesla Model Y come in for service? Does it have electrical problems or I want to know, right? Wouldn't you rather talk to the mechanic than the sales guy?
Huh.
You want to talk to a practitioner.
I've never thought about it like that.
Like if you're going in for Tony, let's just say some medical treatment,
Mhm.
right? And you needed to talk to some specialist for, I don't know, brain cancer or something like that. You want to talk to the actual surgeon. You want to talk to an actual diagnostic technician. You want to talk to someone who works in the lab, who actually looks at the blood work, who actually does biopsies, who actually does all these things, right?
Right, right.
You want to talk to some salesperson
No.
who's just, what's the salesperson trying to do?
Tell.
And does the salesperson have any actual hands-on knowledge?
No.
Right? So in digital marketing or in anything, talk to a practitioner. That's number one. That will disqualify 99% of all these other people that can talk a good game. I want to see evidence that what this person does all day long is they're doing this stuff. They're actually running the Facebook ads. They're actually building websites. If you're training public speakers, I want to see that you're doing public speaking, right? I want to see you're doing the thing that you claim you're going to do for me. It's that simple. And then number two, if you pass that bar, I want to know if you have published openly, transparently, your techniques on how you do stuff.
Wow.
Because, if you're, I was just, 5 days ago, I was in Rome and I was 8 feet away from the Pope. And I flew back on American Airlines. And the way when you're flying a Boeing 777, there's an operating manual for that. And it's not a secret, right?
Yeah.
There's not a secret to how you fix, the whatever car you have. There's an operating manual for electricians, for real estate agents. There's a license. There's for a doctor. It's not like the stuff in medical school is a secret. It's all public, right? So anyone that you're talking to who's a service provider should be sharing how they do stuff and or what certification they got, so we know that's legitimate. Now, digital marketing and AI and social media and influencer and all this stuff, there's no certification. So snake oil, anything goes, whatever it is that people say, because there's no true certification.
Wow.
If you want to be a pilot, you have to have a pilot's license.
Right.
I don't care how many hours you've played Microsoft Flight Simulator. I don't care if your brother is a pilot. I want to know, do you have the real certification? How many hours of flight time do you have? Were you certified by the FAA? Right? That's what I want to know before I get on that airplane and trust my life to you. Right?
Mm.
Now, with digital marketing, it's not so much a life and death situation. I mean, in the case of Dr. Hugh, it kind of was, because it put him in a dire financial situation before we came in and fixed things. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't it true of anyone you're going to hire for something that's worth doing? Don't you want someone who actually has some real certification?
Right.
And if there isn't a certification in that area, don't you want to know who they trained with?
Right. Yeah. No, 100%. Huh.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with digital marketing. It's any kind of expertise. Where do you think the trades came from? The whole idea of apprenticeship came from. Mentorship is based on that.
Like showing your work, doing your work. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a secret. Anytime someone has to hide and claim it's proprietary and dance around it, they're hiding something.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's to be completely honest with you, that's most of the people that I've worked with or dealt with when it comes to websites where I'm like, all right, show me how it works. And they're like,
Mhm.
oh well, we'll show it to you. We'll show it to you when it's done. You can take my word for it. I've been doing this
Yeah.
for 20 years, and it's just like, okay,
Uh-huh.
maybe you've been doing it fucking wrong for 20 years.
Yeah. It's always like, have you ever been at a restaurant or somewhere and the people at the next table are talking about you? You know they're talking about you, but it's in another language that you don't understand, but you know they're
Oh
talking
yeah,
about you.
uh-huh.
It's the same kind of thing, right? So when that person says, "Oh, your website," like they're trying to snow you with these words that you don't know, but you're like in your gut, that's not right.
Yeah. I was curious. I read that you were with Yahoo in the early days, and I was fascinated by that because when I boxed, Yahoo was the site that I would go to. I would go to that site religiously every single week to see like the new headlines. I still have a Yahoo account, and Yahoo was like the thing. I remember it being the biggest thing after I don't know if it was after or during AOL. But how did you get with Yahoo?
I had some connections because I had some mentors
Mm,
like the CEO of American Airlines,
mhm.
and I helped build that website and do a bunch of stuff and speak at conferences. And I became well known in the world of data mining and managing really large databases because for American Airlines, the Advantage program and the whole system that manages basic, like, Sabre, the online booking system, and Advantage, the whole system manages your miles and all that, and booking flights and, times and fare quotes and all that. I had experience building really big systems. And this is crazy. I mean, we're in 2025, so this is 30 years ago.
Wow.
I mean, it was the late 1900s. Late 1900s, I
that
started
that
working
sounds
because
crazy
Yahoo
when you
needed
say
someone
it.
to
It's
build analytics with them. It's like you think the late 1900s, it's like black and white steam engine kind of stuff, right? But they, back then, Yahoo was basically a directory, as you know,
Mhm.
where there was the homepage and the headline and all the different properties crammed onto the homepage. And they needed analytics. They needed to know what people were doing and how many times people were searching for a certain thing. And if they then would open up their Yahoo Mail, and maybe they started Yahoo Sports. And
Mhm.
then we had Yahoo Personals, which is the dating site. And we had classifieds, and we had horoscopes and travel and Yahoo Small Business. So Yahoo started with the search engine, the directory, like you mentioned, and we started adding all these other properties, right? So maybe you'd go to Yahoo Finance and you track your stocks, right? Maybe you'd buy a domain from Yahoo Domains, and then you'd set it up on your Yahoo Small Business because you were a florist. Or then you'd list, like there are all these. Yahoo was like, its own little eBay and all, Facebook, and like we had a social network, Yahoo 360, which failed. But we had all these different properties, and they needed analytics to see like how people were going between the different properties, so we could try to make more money and to also serve ads. And so we built the ad system on top of the user database. And the log files we had were 13 terabytes per day, which at that time was bigger than any commercial database could handle. We had to build our own database to store and process these logs.
Wow.
So there was no need to have any crazy security because, Tony, if for some reason you were able to get these files from us, they're so big you couldn't even open them.
There's no point.
We had to create our own structured query language to be able to query the thing with, Oracle-like, MySQL-like commands. And we wrote a bunch of Perl scripts, and we did a lot of data swizzling, basically. And because I did a lot of data swizzling at American Airlines on what I think back then and may still be today the world's largest non-government system in the world. Largest, I think maybe Palantir today is now bigger, but the
Wow.
world's largest data system, to then move to arguably the internet being the next largest data system. So I've always moved from large system to large system as a data engineer.
That's incredible. That is so cool. What do you think was different about because it doesn't sound like you were in digital market. Well, I guess that is digital marketing back
I
then.
mean, it was called webmastering
Okay.
back then, or it was called internet marketing, and even before that, 35 years ago. We called it phreaking and bulletin boards, because you would dial up, through your
I
AOL or
remember that.
Prodigy you serve, and so you dial into a bulletin board. So the precursor to websites and Gopher and Telnet and all that was a bulletin board. And a bulletin board was basically like a more complex IVR, right? The phones press 1 for this, press 2 for that. And so that's how that was the beginning of web pages. Is you dial into the phone system, you press 3 to go to this room, press pound to go back, press, 3 if you want to check your stock quotes. And so that was the structure of the World Wide Web. That was the HTTP, that became the HTTP protocol.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
W3C. So it eventually changed. So it went from bulletin boards and phreaking to internet marketing to web development to social media to influencer to AI. It's had 10 different names in the last 30 years. But from my vantage point, it's been the same thing, because no matter what the latest thing is called, it's always a user logging into some kind of system, and then that system giving you something back. You talking to the system, it giving you something back. Right. Same thing with ChatGPT. You log into the system, into the app, you talk to it or say something or whatever it is, and then it comes back with something. It makes something for you. It gives you back information. It processes information. Now the input and the output have become more sophisticated. But the same we call this the N-tier architecture or 3-layer cake model. That's never changed.
Oh.
So now that people talk about, AI architecture and agents, I'm like, it's still the same N-tier architecture we've had for 30 years.
Same stuff.
It goes all the way back to mainframes 50 years ago, same thing.
Wow. That's incredible how things can morph, but they stay the same. If you know what you're doing.
So spreadsheets have gotten more and more sophisticated. It's still a spreadsheet.
Yeah. You mentioned something about AI, and I know that you and your team uses AI as far as your blog posts and writing posts and stuff like that. But there's something different about the way that y'all are using AI. I'm not seeing, you read something. I don't even. There's a lot of stuff that I just can't. I'm at the point now to where I don't read a lot of posts, because I'm just I know AI just wrote this shit, and you could tell all the dashes and all the stuff. But I actually feel like when I'm reading an article from you, I feel like it's coming from you, and maybe I just answered my question because
it is.
Yeah,
it is. I'll give you an example. So 2 weeks ago, I shook hands with the president of Azerbaijan. And he invited me to speak at his big media conference where they had media companies from 72 countries, and then me as an engineer, which is kind of weird, right? But they invited me, so why not?
You say an engineer, but come on, Dennis. You're bigger than just an engineer.
If they want to say I'm a big deal, I didn't say that. They said that.
Yeah.
Right? And so I flew on the private jet in seat 1A next to the big man. We walked off the staircase thing that they brought up to the jet. And there was a throng of TV and news reporters and cameramen and all that, 50 of them, all snapping pictures and whatever, as we were walking off the plane into the armored vehicles, police escorts, sirens going and all that kind of stuff. And I felt so cool. I mean, obviously it wasn't me. I'm not the one that needs all this protection. But I was walking with the main guy, right? And I happened to pull out my phone and I recorded some of the stuff, right? Hey, why not, right? I mean, show people hey, check, look at, there's a row of 50 photographers. As the plane lands, they roll out the red carpet. It's wow, that's kind of cool, huh? And then 3 or 4 days ago, I saw that Trump was with the president of Azerbaijan and the president of Armenia, and they brokered a historic truce, a peace treaty. Right? Ending the genocide that has killed millions of people between those two countries. Right? And I snapped a picture from that video of President Trump and President Ilyev shaking hands. And I put it side by side 2 weeks ago where I was shaking hands with President Ilyev. Right? And I said, how cool is that I shook hands with the guy who then 2 weeks later, like 3 days ago, shook hands with President Trump and brokered this huge peace deal that stopped the genocide that was killing millions of people, right? And of course, I had nothing to do with that, but I was witness to it,
Wow.
right? And so I wrote an article about that. Now, what is it, to your question, what is it that made it not feel like AI? It was because the core of it was a real experience, real video off of my Apple iPhone 16, real dates and times, real historical events that I happened to be witness to, right? And so we think of it as, do you have like a favorite restaurant in town?
Maconie's. Yeah.
Okay. And what do you eat there? What do you order?
Pasta.
Pasta.
Yeah.
And what's in that pasta?
Shrimp, roasted tomatoes. Man, I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. Lemon,
So
garlic.
what is it? Why is that shrimp, tomato, garlicky pasta? Why is that pasta so good?
You could just tell that all the ingredients in it are fresh. And
There it is.
Yeah.
Stop right
Yeah.
there. The ingredients. You go to now I am a bit of a food snob, but any of you guys that are like food, you and I are both in the food. The most important thing is the quality of the ingredients. If you have really good, fresh shrimp, not the stuff that smells kind of like fishy, that's how you know it's not fresh. And really fresh. I was in Italy for 2 weeks. I just got back, right? Their pasta is incredible, right? And I talked to some of these chefs and they went on and on about how they make the pasta and where it comes from and like all the technique. Yeah, the technique's important and the machines that you use to do all of it, sure, that's sort of important. But the most important thing is the quality of the ingredients. So when you are putting stuff out there, is it the AI tool or is it the quality of the stories that you are running into the system, right? That's what's most important. So all the stuff we put out there, Tony, we're telling real stories. So 3 days ago, I was with the Pope. Well, sort of with the Pope. I was within 8 feet of the Pope. That's close.
That's close.
Right?
Did you feel that? Did you feel a glow?
There was just so much excitement. It was one of these historic moments because this is the first Pope from America.
Yeah.
Right. And also from Chicago, which is where my buddy Danny was from. And so I flew my buddy Danny and flew from Chicago to Wednesday morning where they had, the papal address, and we waited in line early and got right next to the barricade because we knew exactly what the parade route or whatever was going to be. And I snapped a whole bunch of pictures on my phone and stitched them together and all that. And there's a whole story around that.
Yeah.
Right. And, the Pope has got and that he did his address from St. Peter's Basilica. And St. Peter is the one that Jesus said, if you're a Christian, Jesus said to Peter, Petra, on this rock, Petra, which is the Greek word for Peter and for rock, I will build my church. And the whole succession from Peter all the way through to the current Pope traces back to Jesus, right? Mm-hmm. So that's like our connection to Jesus. And so the Pope, whether you like him or not, whatever religion you believe in, he is arguably the most influential living person on the planet, right? Mm-hmm. So to be able to be in St. Peter's Basilica, if you're a Christian and you believe in Jesus and you're within a few feet of the Pope, that's kind of cool. That's meaningful. And there's a lot of things we can say about that. Mm-hmm. And so I can take what I have to say about that and I can take those raw experiences, ideally off of my phone, and I can upload that into ChatGPT and give it some context. And then ChatGPT can help me write. People use ChatGPT to generate. Yeah. Generate means just out of thin air. We're saying start with the good quality shrimp and pasta and garlic and heirloom tomatoes. Start with those ingredients. And an AI is just a chef. AI slices and sautés and stirs and but it's the quality ingredients. That's what matters most. Everyone's talking about the knife is sharper. The Ginzu knife is sharper and it slices and it dices. Like, I'm sure you have a nice knife. I'm sure it's like very sharp, but I care about the quality of the meat. I care about where the pasta came from. I obsess about the ingredients. You think Gordon Ramsay, let's say, Gordon Ramsay, let's say we gave him the finest ingredients, mm-hmm. right? From all the finest places. And then we gave him some like $2 Walmart knives and a $5 frying pan or whatever. Do you think who would do a better job in cooking a meal? Him with the cheapest stuff from Walmart, or me with $1,000, Henkel knives and Viking range, like all the fanciest equipment?
Gordon Ramsay. Gordon
So,
Ramsay. Because
so here's the order of importance. Number one is the quality of your ingredients, meaning your stories, right?
Mhm.
Number two is the chef, meaning you are the chef. Number three is the tool, which is AI.
Oh,
Why are people obsessing about the tools, the mixer, the fork? Like, if I want to play better basketball, if I want to be a better runner, do you think me switching from Nike to Adidas is the most important thing? Or do I just actually need to get fitter and faster and stronger?
right. Fitter, faster, and stronger.
Right?
Yeah.
But the reason why you hear, oh, there's this new tool here, oh, there's this, is because all of the stuff is driven by the people that are selling the tools.
Right.
So they are like taking up all the air in the conversation. Because they don't want to talk about the most important things, the ingredients. And the next most important thing is the user of the tool. And then finally, it's the tool. It's the last thing.
Wow.
It's not the tool.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. So much sense. Yeah, you actually broke that down for me a lot, because I use Chat GPT, but I never thought about how, like, the way that you put it, the way that most people can't tell. I mean, I've used it. I've used it for school. Like, these are my thoughts, and I put it all into it. But it's not like I'm saying, like you were saying, it's not like I'm saying generate this paper for me. What I'm saying is fix my punctuation, right?
That's the right way to use it. Then it's a tool.
Wow, that is incredible. Do you ever think to yourself, all these amazing things that you've done and these amazing things that you're doing? Do you ever pinch yourself and just say, man, how did I get here?
Every day, I'm always amazed. Every day is a gift. It's all bonus time.
Wow.
Getting to meet these cool people and seeing what they're doing. It's crazy to be paid to do the things that you like, to be able to hang out with people that you enjoy hanging out with.
Wow. So it brings you joy.
Yeah, it's a blessing. It never gets old. It's like, I went to Fogo de Chao yesterday with my buddy Marco. It was delicious. Now, I've been there many times, but I still appreciate it every time.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Do you ever have moments where they're harder than others to do what you do? Because I know, typically most people, they love what they're doing, but there's some hard spots to it too. And a lot of people that listen to the podcast, that's most of the emails that I get is, man, I love what I do, but I don't know if I want to continue to do it because of X, Y, Z. Have you ever had those moments?
Anytime you're dealing with people, there's going to be issues. Anytime you're growing a business, it's never perfect. It never goes according to the way that you want. But that's the journey. I don't have a great answer for overcoming those things. Like, I get sued all the time.
Damn.
By people who fail, right? It's a huge nuisance and a distraction. Obviously, it reflects more on them because they fail. Clearly, we document everything, which is great to show how to do things, but also protects us.
Yeah.
Right. But that's the nature of humans, right? Humans have all kinds of wild expectations and, blame shifting and Dunning-Kruger and all these sorts of things that people have never heard of, right?
Yeah.
That cause distortions in their judgment, that causes them to be subjective instead of logical. It's a big math problem where you have people thinking that you can use your emotion as a way to solve the math problem. Like, you need to learn the technique. You want to fly the airplane, you need the flight computer doesn't care about your emotion. The flight computer cares about the instructions you provide.
That's interesting. That makes me think, when you said you get sued by people all the time that chose to do the wrong thing or the opposite. Is that the same like with clients where you have clients sue you because they didn't follow through with the instruction that you gave them?
People are always going to blame you. We almost never get sued by clients. It's usually by somebody that we've done an audit. We've written an article that's factual, right? You can Google any of these people, Benson Fisher and Lisa Parmley, or Lisa Miller, Tristan Parmley, like any of these people, you can see factually what has happened, right? And they want to blame me for their issue. But the beauty of the facts are, it's, their Zoom calls are there, what's like all the stuff's there, right? You can Google it. You can look at the data. It's not a matter of opinion on any of these things.
Yeah, you're very methodical. I've noticed with how you deal with these people in these situations. Is that something that was learned, or is that something that's pretty natural for you?
I've never really had people skills. I'm a data engineer.
Uh-huh.
It's like if you're right-handed, you can learn to use your left hand, right?
Yeah.
You can learn to be more creative and learn to be more empathetic. If you're creative and empathetic and whatever, you can learn to be more analytical and logical and whatnot. If you're extroverted, you can learn to be introverted in study. If you're introverted, you can learn to build relationships, right?
Hmm.
That's just the nature. It's like Myers-Briggs, right? I'm in INTP.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow. So
I'm an Enneagram type 8 with the 7 wing, right?
okay,
It's not that anything is good or bad. It's all in relation to other characteristics.
wow. So if I'm understanding that correctly, there's some introvertness in there too.
Yeah, I'm more introvert than extrovert, but I can be a public speaker.
Hmm.
I
And you're a
can
damn good one too.
I I can rally people around a cause if I need to, but my default is an introvert. But I'm not 100% introvert. There's a whole kind of scale, right? I'm a little bit, I'm in the middle, but slightly on the introvert scale.
Oh, that's interesting. But it sounds like you've learned how to be able to turn it on and turn it off. Because I've heard you speak, man, and you're a phenomenal speaker. I like how tactful you are as far as like with providing tactics and being funny and working the stage. I think that's incredible. Um, that's oh man, that's interesting. But I wouldn't have picked up that you would be an introvert though. That's interesting.
I think we all learn these different skills. You wouldn't know that Chinese was my first language,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I learned English.
Yeah. I read that you came to the States at the age of 6, right? Or,
Well, I was born in the States,
mhm.
but my parents didn't want to teach me English because I'd have a broken accent if I did.
Oh, wow.
So I learned from the kids at school. And so the first words I learned in English were probably not the first words you learned.
Probably bad words, right?
I got in a lot of trouble. Yeah. I had to learn English real quick. Yeah.
Oh, that's
And just like most people, when they learn another language, the first words they learn are, usually not the words you should be saying.
yeah. Um, what do you think? What was one of the biggest hurdles that you've had to overcome as far as being an entrepreneur?
I think a lot of it's focus, at least for me.
Okay.
There's so many things I want to do, so many places I want to be, but you got to hone down on one thing. If you're Chick-fil-A, you got to make the chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
And for me, I love to explore. I love to do lots of different things. And that kind of ties to my personality because I want to, as an Epicurean, I want to try all the foods. I want to do all the things. I want to try all the experiences, but there's just not enough time. As an entrepreneur, you have to get really good at one thing
Mhm.
first. And then you can become an Elon Musk and whatever and do lots of different things. But you have to start with one thing. Like his thing was PayPal, right?
Mhm.
Made a ton of money with PayPal. And then you could use that to fund your car company and rockets and all this other stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Is that something that you still struggle with today? Focus, and if so, how do you overcome it? Because I'm asking for myself because that's something I have ADHD and I have a bunch of tools, especially here in my office where I
Right.
employ. But what do you use for that?
Well, you take what's a weakness and you turn it into a strength because of how you use it situationally. So I coach a lot of other people that are pursuing things that I care about. And that way I'm able to still kind of dabble, but I'm still applying the same system, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You get leverage from when you can coach other people that allows you to do 4 or 5 different things. In this case, lots of folks that are working on local service businesses. So what I'm doing is still the same thing, but it's multiplied across different categories. So the things that we do for a plumber is the same thing as for a tree company, as for a dentist and whatnot, because it's showing up on Google and making the phone ring, right?
No, that makes sense. Something else I was thinking is just a random question, something I forgot to ask you about earlier. The dollar a day method. How did you
Mhm.
come up with that?
It started with running ads. The lowest budget you could run on any ad system 20 some years ago was $1 a day. And the idea of testing, where you're testing lots of different variations and creatives and targets, it's, dollar a day is you find a winner and you scale it and you spend $10 a day and $100 a day. And in some cases, I've spent $1 million a day in a single ad account.
Wow.
Which is kind of cool.
That's crazy.
But the math guy says, find a winner and then you can safely make $1 million a day bet, like we did with Rosetta Stone, which is language software, right? And we were spending $1 million a day on Facebook and almost that much on Google because we had ads that we tested and tested and tested and we found them to work. So there was no risk when Black Friday, Christmas, all that stuff came around. It was easy. We could predict our sales. There was no more anxiety about, I hope it's going to work, right?
Wow, because you had something already that you worked and you tried, but it sounds like without the risk of.
Well, they're just testing, right? So when a new dentist comes into our program and we assign it to one of our agencies, we have ads that already work for dentists. We have ads that already work for plumbers.
Huh?
Why would you want to do something, invent something completely new, right? In 6 hours, I'm flying from Phoenix to Las Vegas. And I'm sure that route has been flown many times. And it's probably on an Airbus, A317. And they have a flight plan. And they've done that many times. So can you imagine if you got on the plane and the pilot said, you know what? I'm going to try something that's never been done today. I'm going to try to innovate. What do you say?
No, thank you.
Yeah. You want, the white hair, the 50-year-old white guy flying the plane who's done it many, many times, right? And so that's what this is. Now, let's say we get a dentist in San Diego, but we've never had a dentist in San Diego, but we've done it with other dentists. Well, then we just make some minor modifications because now we have to use that dentist's pictures and videos, that dentist's range of services that they offer or they don't take insurance, or they do one-day crowns, or they do 4-overs, or they use certain, they have a C-Rec machine, or, you have to customize it to what they have, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And what we see in digital marketing in every aspect, whether it's, building websites or using AI tools, is everyone keeps trying to reinvent the wheel from scratch every single time.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Wow. I'm curious, what do you think would be the best strategy for $1 a day for my folks that have a podcast or working on podcasts?
We already know it works for podcasts. Why would anyone, not know? A podcast is really just a vehicle, one of many vehicles towards the mission of what you have to sell services that you offer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have a podcast, you can repurpose that into a book. You can repurpose that into a series of videos on your YouTube channel, into articles, into clips that you put on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all that, right? A podcast is just one repackaging of the same core ingredients. And if you're very clear that the podcast is about helping speakers build confidence or whatever it is, then you have tons and tons of proof of you doing it every day, of you being around other people who do that. Because the podcast is to say, look, this is the thing I stand for. This is my mission. This is what I do. And I'm going to be around all the other people that also do that in different aspects, who are world-class in those particular aspects. It's reinforcing the trust and authority against that thing that you stand for. And that's all that is. If that's there, you should have a preponderance of proof, tons of evidence, tons of what other people are saying. If you're a public speaker and if you're helping other public speakers, I want to see your speaker reel. I want to see that you have a knowledge panel on Google. I want to see you have a best-selling book on Amazon. I want to see that you've been on major media, not regional TV, but national TV, like CNN, Wall Street Journal, LA Times. Like I have all these things I mentioned. I have these things, right? Because I wouldn't be able to talk about it ethically unless I've done those things myself, right? If I want to tell people how to have a best-selling book, I better have one myself.
Yeah.
And I better have documented the heck out of it. I happen to own the largest ebook site on the internet too, and some other advantages.
That's cool.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's not that you have a podcast. It's what does that podcast stand for? Where are you drawing the very specific distinction of where you position yourself? And if I ask ChatGPT, tell me about Tony Taylor, will it tell me that answer or not?
Heck yeah, I will.
And if I ask ChatGPT, just like a friend of mine asked ChatGPT, who's the best in the world at Facebook ads?
You came up.
It'll say, oh, yeah, it said you were the one. And other people said, yeah, I've been looking at how do you get a knowledge panel on Google? And ChatGPT said, well, Dennis, use the one. Why? Because I have hundreds of examples of friends of mine that I've helped get them knowledge panels. And we've done YouTubes and articles, and we've got a book on it. And, there's a ton of evidence. Podcasts, right?
Mm-hmm.
A podcast is just another vehicle.
I love it. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. I feel really blessed, man, just being in your presence. So I want to say thank you for taking the time. It definitely means a lot to me.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
I like how you've been there.
Oh man.
For several years.
Yeah, I do. I love the work that you do. I don't see too many people at your level that give and serve the way that you serve. And in my opinion, I think you are a true leader that lead. And that's why I wanted you to come on the show. So the folks that are listening, the people that are watching this, I hope you took some notes. If you didn't take some notes, go back, listen to it again, take some notes. Everything that we've talked about on this show today, it's been some stuff that I have looked up and I found and I read. And to get further understanding, I went to Dennis's website, and let me tell you, it's phenomenal. He's given away so much valuable information in there. The stuff that people are charging thousands and thousands for courses and for mentorships. It's on if I don't get this right, it's blitzmetric.com, correct?
Blitzmetrics.com. Or you could just ask ChatGPT about it. It's all
just
there.
ask ChatGPT, who's the man when it comes to Facebook ads, when it comes to digital marketing. It'll come up, Dennis. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to travel with you on your journey. I want to say thank you for the things that you're doing, the things that you've done, and the things that you're gonna do, because I know that you're gonna do something truly amazing. Remember, I'm here to stand by you as you chase your dreams, lead with greatness, and continue to make a difference. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so that you can be notified every time we drop a new episode. I'll see you next time on Leaders Lead the Podcast. Peace.